All right, and we're back. It's Eric Arnold here in my sports barn, and we're here to bring you the weekend of the 20th of November, the college football slate. We've got, we only got 37 games this time around, 37. I guess if you count with the 3 midweek games, that brings us back to our 40. We had 40 last week. It was a pretty good week last week. I thought it would be. And as I said in a previous video, we had 23 winners, 15 losers, 2 pushes. We'll take that every day. So we're hoping to do similar. It feels okay. I mean, I went through these picks today pretty quick, but we tried the same guardrails we used the prior week. And I think we're in the ballpark here. I think we have some okay picks. So let's get to it. Don't want the video to be 100 minutes long. Chuck Armstrong doesn't like that. So we got to keep it short best we can. All right, so let's get to it. Tomorrow, Friday, we've got a couple games tomorrow. Got Washington State versus Arizona up at Pullman. I don't know. This is, I think there were some factors that kind of were pushing a little bit towards Arizona here. I think that Arizona team's getting better. It couldn't get much worse, could it? But definitely think it's starting to trend a little better. And I just came down with, you know what? It's going to be 30 degrees out, and I'll be goddamned if I want the Arizona Wildcats in 30-degree weather. So I took Washington State. Laying the points, we'll do that. Air Force, Nevada. We're going to go ahead with Air Force here, and I don't have a lot of rationale why, so we like them. UNLV at home. San Diego State just plays a lot of low-scoring games. They do not run tempo. They're one of the only teams in the country it really doesn't. They run the ball. They're almost like a pro-style offense. And it works. They win, but the scores are very low. So catching 10.5 points in what's going to be a low-scoring game, that kind of gives us some wiggle room, some things to maneuver with, to play with. So I think UNLV, is a sneaky team here that's under the radar. Everybody thinks, who are they? They stink. I think it's a team that's improving, and catching 10.5 at home, I like that. We'll take UNLV. All right, let's go on to Saturday. Now, this is an interesting game. This Florida State, Boston College. Back in the day, when I was trying to be the man, when I would bet $20,000 a game on college football. No, I didn't make that up. I actually used to do that. I would bet on Boston College here and not think twice. I would just straight Boston College, not even think twice, just do it. I had some luck doing that too, and I think, frankly, that's what it boiled down to, was luck. I'm going to go with Florida State here. I just think that's a team that's getting better. That the argument could be made they're going to be down off their big win over Miami last week. I just think that it's more than that. That's a team that's improving. It's a team that plays defense, for one thing. And I think they probably just have more athletes on their side of the ball than Boston College does. Now, if they can coach them and get them to play together, then I think Florida State's going to be far and away the better team. That seems to be the problem down there at Florida State these last couple of years, is whatever talent they have isn't gelling. It's not meshing. It's not happening. I think it's starting to come together. There's a path for Florida State, who was a joke earlier in the year. There's a path here for them to have a really successful year. They get this game. They've got Florida next week. Florida's a mess. So they could get that game at Florida. That's possible. And then you got the bowl game. If they win 2 out of the next 3 games, that's not a terrible Well, I think they probably got to get both these next two games to get a bowl. So they they need to get these next two games. If they dump the bowl game, then I think you could still then say it was a successful season. What'd you do this year? Well, we beat Miami and we beat Florida. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. So we're going to take Florida State there. What we got here? Oh, I thought it was a bug. It's the cursor. All right, this was a very interesting game. And I put on my little chart there, I just signify, back in baseball, we were trying to figure out if by stratifying the picks, in other words, a game we really think is going to win, we'll put 3 stars on it. And that way, and we'll figure those games will have a higher winning percentage at the end of the year than one we're kind of sort of confident in, but not really. Those we would put 1 star on. Well, then I kind of got away with that. I was kind of finding out that, well, they're all winning at the same rate. The 3-star games, we're not hitting those any better than the 1-star games. And now in college football, we really don't have any confidence at all. And here, we're winning at about 53% rate so far this year. Okay, nice. Not thrilling, but nice. We'd like it to be better. At any rate, everything's 1 star, except this game. The model just went, oh, wow, here's a combination of some factors we don't see too often. And the model said, Clemson's got like an 80% chance of covering this game. And I'm like, really? Really? Because I kind of don't believe it, but really? I'm buying in. You know, why not? Wake Forest, nice team. Good coach. Probably a better coach than Swinney. I actually think that Clawson is a better coach. Now, is he a better recruiter? Does he have more whatever it takes to get the talent into the camp? No, he doesn't. Whatever Clemson does, if they've got better facilities, a better network of alumni, better paydays, whatever, Clemson recruits a hell of a lot better than Wake Forest, and basically that's what it's going to boil down to. You're going to have a team, Clemson's been down all year, but they've got way more talent on that team than Wake Forest. They're only laying 4. They're at home. This is a big game. Clemson's not going to let Wake Forest just walk into their place and say, hey, we're the best team in the ACC. Not going to happen. Clemson's going to beat the living hell out of Wake Forest. So it is written, so it shall be done. New Mexico State. I guess they're trolling the South looking for paydays. The go-to tomato can. Back in the day when we watched WWF, that was before it was turned into the WWE World Wrestling Federation. There was a guy, I think his name was Steve King. He's about 5'8", he weighed about 210 pounds. So he'd be going up against all these monsters that would throw him all over the place and kill him and pin him. And he was just your job squad guy. Yeah, and that's what New Mexico State is. They're the job squad guy. They're just there for a payday. They know they got no chance. This is a terrible team, terrible program. I think Kentucky just runs all over these guys. In a way, this tomato can thing late in the schedule, I think it's not good for the tomato cans. In other words, and we got another game like this further down the schedule, Tennessee and whatever tomato can they're playing. But, these teams are slamming away at the best of the best for weeks. And now all of a sudden you get a team that is just not in your category. I think it's almost like, oh yeah, now we're going to, I've been banging my head against the wall against NFL talent for the last 3 weeks, and now I get some future insurance salesman. Oh yeah, I'm going to take some frustration out on this guy. So I think that's what's going to happen. Kentucky will lay the 36. I got it in here. I slotted in the Michigan State, Ohio State game. I moved this to the end to make sure that Chuck Armstrong keeps watching, because I know his attention span's very short, but I want to make sure that he has to watch to the end. So we'll have that game at the end. Let's go. Tulane, South Florida. The model kind of like South Florida here. I don't think they cover 2 weeks in a row. The money seemed to lean in Tulane. I definitely think we got a coaching edge with Tulane. Tulane has a good coach. My opinion of that South Florida coach is not high. We'll take Tulane. Now, this is interesting. Iowa State, Oklahoma. So Oklahoma, they're coming off the huge loss to Baylor. And I think they beclowned themselves there at the end of the game, whining about that field goal that was kicked on them. There, if you missed it, Baylor has the game in hand. It's over. They get the ball in Oklahoma territory. Clock's about to expire. Normally 999 out of 1,000 times, the team just kneels down and then we all shake hands and that's that. Well, this 1,000th time, the coach of Baylor decided, I want those 3 points that are just sitting there and all I got to do is kick a field goal, because it somehow factors into a tiebreaker and it, could play in his favor down the road in some kind of conference room or what have you, as to whether they get into the Big 12 title game. So he said, I want those 3 points. Well, he kicks it and gets his 3 points. Now Oklahoma's mad. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not the way things are done. You broke the code. There's nothing more fun than arguing over the unwritten code, because no one knows what the hell it is, because it's unwritten. And my unwritten code is different than your unwritten code. Even though you think I have the same unwritten code, I don't. And I think you have the same unwritten code as I do, and you don't. So there's nothing more fun than arguing over this type of shit. I think they look like, little girls complaining about this. I mean, this is the Oklahoma team that goes out there and they're on top of a mismatched opponent, just beating the hell out of them. You're in the fourth quarter. Do you take it easy? Do you call off the dogs? No, they put their second team in there, which is just as good as that other team's first string, and they're running the same goddamn tempo offense on them. So they're still running the score up. Oh, we put our backups in. Yeah, and then did you just have them stretch it out? Hell no, they were throwing passes and running RPOs and trying to score as many points as they could. So, if we don't begrudge Oklahoma for doing that, then let's not begrudge Baylor for kicking a field goal with 2 seconds left on the clock. So I think Oklahoma, I think that team's just a mess. We like Iowa State here. I think Iowa State played a tough game last week. It's still a good program, good team, good coach. I think we have a coaching edge with Campbell over Lincoln Riley. We're going to go ahead here with Iowa State. Northwestern, Purdue. This might surprise you, but we like Northwestern here. Northwestern's usually, it's a hit or miss time. I think there's sometimes though Northwestern shows up, and generally it's against Purdue. These games are usually fist fights. They're usually close. Northwestern's out of it. Their season's over. They're not going to a bowl game. This game's going to be played at Wrigley Field. This is essentially Northwestern's bowl game. And I don't think they're going to just go out there and give it up. I think they're going to fight hard, and I think this game's going to be close. We'll take the 11. Coastal Carolina, Texas State. I don't have a lot of rationale other than the money seemed to point towards Coastal. We'll take them. Here's an interesting game. I was going to make up a slide, but we're just out of time. I've got a busy day tomorrow, and we got to get this done. So ESPN, when they put up their, conference or college playoff teams, and then they have the chance of the team making the playoff. which I don't know, that's some algorithm that ESPN invented where they pump all the factors in and then it spits out a number. Notre Dame is over 50% to make the playoff, according to ESPN. I guess, very likely they're going to be, well, they're 17-point favorites against Georgia Tech, and I believe their only other game is Stanford. I think they just have the 2 games left. So they're going to be 2-3 touchdowns over Stanford, so they're probably going to have 1 loss. So I guess that's the thinking, is that somehow with the 1 loss, everyone else is going to lose, and then Notre Dame into the playoff. Maybe. I'm not ready to debate that one way or the other. I do know that I like Notre Dame up in the cold Chicago area tomorrow against the Southern team, Georgia Tech, who haven't thought much of them all year. So Notre Dame just keeps grinding out. They just keep grinding out. And there's always an excuse. Like last week, they beat the living hell out of Virginia, at Virginia. Well, Virginia's quarterback was hurt. Yeah, okay. There's always an excuse. So maybe there'll be an excuse Sunday. Well, Georgia Tech, they got the virus on the plane, and then they could only play their water boys, whatever. Notre Dame, I think they'll end up covering this number. Pitt, Virginia, the aforementioned Virginia. I honestly don't know if the quarterback was going to play or not. The money seemed to indicate he would not play, the Virginia quarterback. Pitt is an offensive machine right now, and they're just having one of their best seasons in the last 25 years. I think they're just going to keep rolling, so we're going to take Pitt. Michigan, Maryland, oh my. So Michigan is positioning themselves for the big chance. Next week is Michigan, Ohio State at the Big House. And the winner will have a really good shot at the playoff. I won't say they're a lock for the playoff. I think perhaps Michigan has a better argument for the playoff than we do. We, Ohio State, Ohio State alum. If they beat us, we didn't lose. Michigan didn't lose to Oregon. Who did Michigan lose to? They lost to Michigan State. And that was a real questionable game in that, after the fact, then the Big Ten came out and went, oh, yeah, we should have given you that touchdown. How chicken shit is that? But, maybe we should pay these officials more. Maybe we could get better officiating if we paid them more. I don't know. That's just a thought. At any rate, so Michigan, the fly in that ointment is they have to beat Ohio State, something they have great trouble doing. So that's next week. So Michigan here, are they going to be looking over the fence to Ohio State? I'm going to take Michigan here. I just think that, their MO generally is to go great guns until the Ohio State game. Then it all goes wrong for them. So I'm going to say they're just going to keep on rolling, and they're going to take care of Maryland and cover the number. Nebraska, Wisconsin. I like Wisconsin in November. I surely do. And Wisconsin is really turning it up right now. They're on a roll. They're doing what they do late in the year. That's a running team. That's a rugged defense, running offense team. It's geared for the cold weather, and they're doing it. But we're going to get off them here, and we're going to go with Nebraska. Nebraska is they're hard to beat. They play close. They keep close. The best of the best can't seem to just blow these guys out. I think Ohio State only beat them by, 10, 9, something like that. I know Oklahoma only beat them by a handful. Nebraska just hangs close. They never win, but that's not what we intend to do. We just intend to cover. So we're going with Nebraska. Minnesota, Indiana. This is a play more against Indiana than it is on Minnesota. I think Minnesota's a pretty good team, and I think they showed they're every bit as good as Iowa last week. They just couldn't quite get the that last play they needed to get over the hump. Thinking a team like Iowa walking into Indiana right now, they would kill Indiana. Then I kind of think Minnesota, it's probably going to be a similar deal. Indiana's a wreck. This has just been a lost year for them, so we're not going to try to catch a falling knife, Minnesota. Alabama, Arkansas. Arkansas's had a pretty good year, but Alabama off that nice, easy pseudo bye week against New Mexico State. I think they're ready to lay one on somebody just to kind of let the committee know, hey, we're still here. We're important. We are arguably the best team in the country. And if we happen to lose by a field goal to Georgia, we still belong in the playoff. Just saying. So, in order to make that argument credibly, you got to lay some wood down on some people. So I think that's what could happen here is that Saban might say, all right, look, this is where these next two games, let's lay holy waste to these next two opponents and leave ourselves some wiggle room in case some crazy stuff happens in the championship game and we lose. Alabama. East Carolina Navy, this is kind of a play against Navy. I just don't think this Navy team, Navy you can usually pencil in as being a pretty good bet. That they always seem to overachieve. Well, this team seems to be the opposite. They just seem to underachieve. And I think East Carolina has a pretty good running attack. So we're only laying 4. I think East Carolina is significantly better than Navy. We'll take the Pirates. For those of you who don't know, the Pirates are the East Carolina. It's not the United States Naval Academy, the Pirates. That would be kind of cool in a way. I wonder 200 years ago if they ever thought of that. Well, we're not going to be the midshipmen. What's that? That makes no sense. We'll be the Pirates. That would make sense. That is a seagoing thing. The Pirates. The United States Pirates. UAB, UTSA, San Antonio. No one talks about these guys as being in the championship hunt. They're undefeated. What would happen if there was some real crazy chaos and there was a bunch of teams with 2 losses, and here's San Antonio undefeated? I guess it'd be the same old drill. Well, that's great and all, but who have you beaten? You don't count. You don't matter. And then they would, of course, throw them away. I don't think they're going to get to that point. I think they're like Icarus. They're getting too close to the sun. Do you know what that is? Have I told you this one already? Icarus, the fable of the guy who glues wings on his back with wax, melted wax, uses it as glue. This didn't happen yesterday. This happened, like 3,000 years ago. He didn't have Gorilla Glue. He had wax, so that's what he used. So he uses these wings and he flies. He can fly. This is amazing. But then as he flies higher and higher, the closer he gets to the sun, the warmer it gets, and it starts to melt the wax holding the wings on, and the wax melts, and the wings fall off, and poof, that's the end of Icarus. So that's what I think's going to happen here with San Antonio. They're just flying too high, and their wax is going to melt, and boom. All right, let's keep going. So we try to find teams that are ready to play, that are motivated to play. And I think Florida was a national joke last week, despite the fact they won the game. They gave up over 50 points to a sub-500 FCS team, Samford. I had to look this up. Samford is in Birmingham, Alabama. Samford, not like Sanford and Son. That's Sanford and Son. No, this is Samford. Gave up over 50 points to those guys. So that's a joke. Everybody's laughing. Joke, you're a joke. I think they're going to be ready to play. I think they're better in Missouri. The weather's going to be okay in central Missouri on Saturday. It's not going to be too horrible that Florida can't manage it. I think Florida goes out and takes care of business. We're going to take Florida. Lafayette Liberty. This is like one of these championship games of the mid-majors. You got Billy Napier versus Hugh Freeze, two A-plus coaches. Really good matchup. We're going to take the points. We're going to take Louisiana here. Tulsa Temple. We've had some good luck here just fading Temple every week recently. And I see no reason to stop it. They just look like complete roadkill right now. And by that I mean they lose everywhere. So not just on the road. But we'll go ahead with Tulsa. Now this is what a big game. What's terrible about this is they're going to draw like 50,000 people, and it's like they should sell out the Coliseum. This is the type of game that in the past they would put 90 to 100,000 people in the Coliseum in Los Angeles for this game, this rivalry game, USC UCLA. When I was a child, and by a child I mean like 2, this was the game. Where it was O.J. Simpson, it was Mark Harmon. Yeah, that's right. The guy that plays in CSI used to quarterback for UCLA. Can you believe that? That's true. I forget Dick Vermeil for UCLA. Anthony Munoz, John Robinson. John McKay. This was the matchup. Oh, man. Back in the late 60s, early throughout the 70s. So now it's just an afterthought. Although I still think these two teams have some of the coolest color matchups, that the two colors coming together. So cool. We're going to take USC here to beat Chip Kelly. We're going to take the home dog. Just kind of think, I don't know what we think here, but we're taking USC. Now this is interesting. The model, this one I really wanted to take Kansas, and the model said TCU has a 75% chance of covering this game. And I thought to myself, but Kansas is getting better. Kansas just beat Texas, and they're getting 21 points from a not very good TCU team. What? Well, we're just going to go ahead with the model, I guess. The money didn't seem to push me one way or the other as far as the betting action. I think the thinking is that Kansas shot their load last week, and a historic win for them. And now, show it to me again. Do it again. Let's see if you can do it again, Kansas. We're going to take TCU. See if I think the idea is that Kansas doesn't have much of a defense, and TCU is going to be able to score some points. And Kansas, they scored 56. That's a lot for Kansas. That's 3 games for Kansas. So let's see if they can do that again. We'll take TCU. Rice, UTEP. We always fade UTEP, so we'll take Rice. Syracuse, NC State. I think we're catching some value here with Syracuse. They got embarrassed last week at Louisville. Everybody throws a clunker every now and then. That one inexplicable game that just is not like the others. In other words, everything's kind of similar, and then boop, or way down here, a super great game or a super terrible game. And it's just an aberration. It's just, you just throw them out. They don't matter. I don't think you can read anything into those games. You just eliminate them. Didn't happen. So I still say Syracuse is a solid team. They're not that much worse than NC State. We'll take Syracuse. Kansas State, Baylor. Baylor off the big win over Oklahoma. But Kansas State is so damn tough at home. That is such a tough team at home. Plus, I think maybe Baylor, a little distracted by the brouhaha about kicking the field goal. Maybe they're just a little not focused perhaps. Kansas State, very tough team at home. We're going to take Kansas State. Stanford, California, I got no rationale for this. Both taking Stanford. North Texas, we're going to take them over Florida International. Well, we learned something this week. I'm a big Butch Davis fan. I think he's an excellent coach. And then for the last couple of years, he just seemed to have lost his touch. He was winning at Florida International. I think that's a damn near, that's damn difficult. Damn difficult. But he was doing it, covering numbers, winning games, and then all of a sudden it kind of stopped. Well, here to find out, they're not helping him. They fired him this week, and he just basically turned around and said, "Fuck you. Go ahead, fire me, because you guys haven't done a goddamn thing to help me. You've allocated no money to the football program. We're using used pads, used balls. I have no sales pitch when I go out to recruit. So go ahead." So that program's a complete mess. I think we could safely go ahead and lay 10 points here against them pretty much with anybody. As it turns out, it's going to be North Texas. So we'll do that. Vanderbilt, Mississippi. Again, tomato can week down in the SEC as all the premium teams are either playing FCS opponents or, the worst of the worst in the conference. I don't know. Vanderbilt here, they're bad, but they seem to keep the scores low. For all the firepower Mississippi has, excuse me, their scores aren't that high either. So I don't know. I could see this being like 35-0 Ole Miss, which would be a cover for us. So we're going ahead with Vanderbilt. Tennessee, South Alabama, same reasoning as, I forget what game it was previously. Tennessee has been slamming their heads against the wall against four of the toughest, probably the toughest stretch for a month of any team in the country. They had Georgia in there. They had Alabama in there. They had Ole Miss in there. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, you're banging your head against some NFL talent there. And now you've got, South Alabama. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. There might be one NFL guy on the whole team, maybe. They're going to just lay waste to those guys. That's what I'm thinking. That it's like we're not going to take the week off. We finally got a chance to score, to dance. I've had the sack dance stored up that I've been waiting to use, and I can't do it because I can't get around these NFL tackles. They just keep shoving me to the outside. Now I can get home and tackle that South Alabama quarterback. I want to break out my sack dance. All the skilled guys for Tennessee, they've got all kind of dance moves they want to break out. This is their chance to do it. So I think they're going to hammer these guys. Now, what about this? This is what a game for the playoff. Meaningful game as far as playoff considerations go. Utah, Oregon. Oregon is in there. Nobody thinks they belong in there. I sort of do, just because they beat my team, and I'd look like a foolish bitch if I said they didn't belong in there. So I think they kind of do belong in there until they take their second loss. Then I guess I could then say, well, maybe they just got lucky and beat us. But they haven't taken that second loss yet. So Oregon always seems to do it, though. They always seem to trip on their dick somewhere and miss the playoff. Here they're going, Utah. This is one of these weirdo games where the lower-ranked team is favored. You got the, number 3 team in the country is catching a field goal? Is everybody wrong that Oregon is not that good? We're going to go ahead and say everybody's not wrong. There are times where everybody is wrong, and that happens more than you think. But I'm going to say not in this instance. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take the home team. We're going to say Utah gets it done, makes the whole country except for the state of Oregon happy, makes everybody happy except Oregon, and Utah, everybody's favorite team this weekend, Utah. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Did I say there was a big game here for playoff consideration? I was thinking about this, and I should have led with this, and then I forgot about it. This is appetizer weekend. Appetizer weekend. Do you like appetizers? I love appetizers. I mean, to me, that's like you just got to the bar and you're getting ready to throw down 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever with your buddies. And hey, who wants some appetizers? That's like a signal to, we're getting warmed up. We're just getting ready to go. The main event's not here yet. So we got a lot of fun left to have. So let's have some appetizers. That's what this is. These are all appetizers. The main event's next week. Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma State. What big games next week? Alabama, Auburn. But this is the game before Bedlam. And Oklahoma State, very much like Oregon, getting too excited. I'm tearing my throat up. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. And I think that's what's going to happen again here. Texas Tech played a hell of a game against Iowa State. Ugh. Momentito, please. All right. Hell of a game, winning it with the long field goal. They probably outplayed Iowa State to begin with. Some questionable breaks went against them. We think Texas Tech is not 10.5 points worse than Oklahoma State. For whatever reason, Oklahoma State seems to struggle with Texas Tech. And then they have Oklahoma next week. So we just think that Oklahoma State, they've gone as far as they go. It's been a nice run, but it's over now. And we like Texas Tech to keep it close, if not win the game outright. LSU, Louisiana Monroe, more tomato can stuff. Same angle there, we'll take LSU. Boise, New Mexico. I got no rationale here. Boise State. Arizona State, we're going to say they're just a little better than Oregon State. They played like shit up at Utah earlier in the year in the cold. Well, all right, second time over. That's a horse racing term, I do believe. Meaning the horse runs on an unfamiliar track. They don't run that well. Second time over, they've seen the track. Now they know where the ruts are. They kind of got a familiarity for it. They know where the bathroom is. So they play better. They run better. Well, that's kind of what we're going to say with Arizona State. They'll play better in the cold weather now that they've seen it the second time around. And lastly, late night, if you can stay up that late, Hawaii. We're going to go with Hawaii. That team's played pretty well at home. And I think late in the year, that's kind of, maybe a little tougher trip than earlier in the year. It's a long way out there. And you're getting kind of tired and the season's starting to wear you down. And now you got to get on an 8-hour plane flight. Oh, Jesus. So, we're going to go ahead there with Hawaii. So, that brings us to the big game. At least for us, a handful of people that went to Ohio State or Michigan State. We're going with Michigan State. We are. Here's something that you don't know, and you're not going to hear this anywhere but in the barn. You're not going to hear it on ESPN. You're not going to hear it on Barstool. It's here in the barn. This is what you're going to hear. Since Ohio State has started to beat the hell out of Michigan, in other words, since the magical man named Jim Tressel came to town, we used to get beat by Michigan every year like clockwork. It was horrifying. It was awful. for a sports fan. When your rival owns you, oh my God, I can't even imagine. It's hard to describe, but you feel less. You're just less than whole. You're just, and you can't beat them. And it's just so frustrating. Well, that was Ohio State, Michigan throughout the mid-'80s to the year 2000. And then a magical man named Jim Tressel came to Columbus, and he said, we're going to beat Michigan. I'm going to beat Michigan. Everybody went, okay. Thanks, Mr. FCS guy from Youngstown State. That's funny. And he did it. He did it. The magical man did it. And then he just kept doing it. And then Dirty Urban came to town and he started doing it too. And now, now we can't lose to these guys. So Ohio State beats Michigan. That's what we do. We beat Michigan. That's our whole season. We focus on that game. That's next week. We focus on that game. That's our game. We're going to beat them. It's kind of like a tidal wave. You ever seen a tidal wave? Well, when the tidal wave is coming in, the water that's on shore goes out to sea. It draws back as the ocean is gathering itself for this huge punch of power, this huge wave that's going to wipe out everything. Sploosh! That's a tidal wave. Well, that's Ohio State the week before the Michigan game. We're drawing ourselves into ourselves for this giant punch that's going to knock Michigan into next week. And we do it every year. We draw ourselves into it, but we're vulnerable when we do this. Because we're gathering all our energy for next week. It's like when the Star Blazers would fire the wave motion gun. The ship would, they'd draw all this power. It'd be vulnerable. And then boom, this huge bolt of energy would wipe out the Star Blazers' enemies. Well, we're 4 wins and 14 losses against the spread in the week before Michigan in the era since we started to focus and own Michigan. 4 wins, 14 losses. And there have been some real doozies in there. The best team we ever had, arguably, that 15 team, we lost to Michigan State because Joey Bosa couldn't stay on sides. Juice Williams, we lost to him in 07 at Illinois. We almost lost to Illinois in 2002, and that was a team that won the national championship. That game went to overtime against crummy Illinois. We almost lost. So we have a habit of stepping on our dick in this game. We definitely have a habit of stepping on our dick. I think Michigan State's gonna hang around, do enough, keep it close. We're just not gonna be able to blow them out like we did Purdue. We're taking the 19. We're taking Sparty. And then we'll see Michigan next week. Win or lose, we'll see them at the Big House. That's it. I've been informed there's still a dislike button. Don't hit that. Hit the like button. You just got a ton of free picks that are hitting at 53%. So hit that like button. And we'll see you later next week. Eric Arnold signing off.